sheepdog response. You see, that's the attacking response. Every time we look at issues about what's good for our children, we say, what's good for our children? People attack and say, wait a minute, what about those other kids? We say, you're right, what about the other kids? That's the sheepdog response. See, we're taught to believe that our Africanness is of no value. So we can't stand on it, we can't build on it. The Africanness is of no value. It is, in fact, what I share with my teachers, like culture is to humans as water is to fish. It is everything. But we're not taught that culture is so essential to our survival. We're taught that we can just adopt anything, be anything, take anything. We're not taught that the law of non-being is being violated when in fact you don't build your development and culture. Science tells us that culture is the medium of development. In the laboratory, we put the specimen in a petri dish that's called culture. Think about it. Culture is the medium of development. Well, if our task is to develop African men and women, what's the medium? What medium do we develop them in? What petri dish do we put them in order to develop proper human beings? The schoolhouse should be that place. The home should be that place. Those are the mediums of development, but because we lost control of those, we thought we were trying to be integrationists, when in fact we were engaging in responding to the Ma'afa. See, the Ma'afa, you can't integrate with the Ma'afa. You can't integrate in a system that says that for 100 years, every single day of the year, this country had celebration around the lynching of black men and women. That's beyond human comprehension and convention. For 100 years, people gathered together, had picnics, brought their children around, had picnics just to lynch a black man. And then after lynching the brother, or the sister, because it was both, after lynching the brother, burnt his body, and then young white boys would demonstrate the power of their manhood to their girlfriends by being able to reach into the burnt body and pull out the liver of this man to show that they were real men. That's beyond human comprehension and convention. That's the Ma'afa. So now we're talking about integrating with a kind of people that see that as appropriate human conduct. We got to have clarity in our analysis here. We got to have clarity about what the issue is here. We need to understand. We need to understand that our culture is the medium of development. Culture is all pervasive for humans to develop, just as water is all pervasive for fish to develop. If you catch a fish and pull them out that water, fish get trouble. Fish eyes start bucking up their head, fins start flapping, lips start dribbling. Just as you see some of these dope fiend people in our community, they're out there culture. You see the signs. It's the same signs. You can see the physical trauma. You can literally see the physical trauma of Africans on the faces of our children because they're out of their culture. Culture is to humans as water is to fish. You all from the Carolina Islands know that if you take a saltwater fish, sometimes call them saltwater geese, you take a saltwater fish out of that salt water and put the saltwater fish in fresh water. The saltwater fish makes a rapid adjustment to the fresh water, otherwise it dies. Saltwater fish, think about it, saltwater fish have a certain characteristics. They're bigger fish. They have more color. Their fins are more elegant. They swim with a certain rhythm that saltwater fish men can look down the stream and see a saltwater fish woman and know that it's a sister based upon the way she moves. Saltwater fish have a certain characteristic. Saltwater fish you see saltwater fish will come together, male and female, and they'll touch each other's lips in this way, as if the saltwater fish was saying to the sister saltwater fish, God must have been showing off when he made you. I mean, just a certain arrogance that the saltwater fish has. But take that saltwater fish and put it in fresh water. Saltwater fish shows different kind of behavior. Saltwater fish begins to wonder why it doesn't look like freshwater fish. Saltwater fish begins to think maybe it can get some fin straightening ointment in order to make it feel better. Saltwater fish begins to go to NYCC and Stanford and Yale and come away talking about, I feel better because I've had an education in the best freshwater fish universities, and I've developed a taste for freshwater fish food. I just can't seem to eat that low kind of saltwater fish food. Fresh saltwater fish begin talking about, we got a problem here. We got to get together because we're not getting access to education. We got to have us a saltwater fish civil rights movement and try to figure out how we can get into the universities, get into the jobs. Saltwater fish teachers who aren't able to explain why, when they do everything they can to educate saltwater fish kids, the saltwater fish kids still don't learn. And they begin to say, maybe there's something wrong with them saltwater fish kids. Maybe it's the problem is that they come from 125th Street. Maybe the problem is they come from the projects. Maybe the problem is that they got single parent saltwater fish mamas. That the problem is not the educational milieu. The problem is something in the children. Saltwater fish begin to talk about that they need to understand why these saltwater fish children act up in class all the time. They can't seem to sit still. We got to get some saltwater fish Ritalin and try to give them a shot to calm them down, to make them educable. The saltwater fish begin to talk about the real problem here is that we learn from our freshwater fish psychologists that the saltwater fish have a low self-esteem. Low saltwater self-esteem, and then ultimately we got to get them some saltwater fish role models, some old saltwater fish who have learned how to be good freshwater fish, and hook up those children to those freshwater fish role models. And then it begins to be explained that the problem with the saltwater fish community is they got rampant teenage pregnancy. The problem with the saltwater fish community is that there's drug addiction in the saltwater community. The problem with the saltwater fish community is that them saltwater fish men don't respect their women. That you got to do something about them saltwater fish men. And you start hearing this crazy conversation. You hear saltwater fish women saying to their saltwater fish daughters, girl, you got to go for yourself. You can't depend upon no saltwater fish man. You can't depend. What have they done for you lately? Tell their boys, tell them those saltwater fish boys, you just like your no good saltwater fish daddy. You a dog fish. You see the insidiousness of this when you're outside of your culture? Because we all know, we're so bright in this room that we know that this little tale, this little example is easy to solve. You want to help the saltwater fish. Put some salt in the water. That's all you got to do. Put some salt in the water. And that really is almost as a parable. That's what African-centered education is about. African-centered education understands that we have been de-spiritualized. We have been de-Africanized. And that if we are able to save ourselves, we must put some Africa back in the process of development. The Petri dish will not develop us other than to create some aberrant, distorted, vulgar representation of who we really are. So the Petri dish must have saline in it if it's to produce our people. Otherwise, we see the results of the despiritualization. You all see it in our communities every single day. Depression, alienation, racial rejection, gender confusion, self-negation, mental illness, drug addiction, alcoholism, poverty, ignorance, hopelessness. Black folk were able to struggle against the most powerful system of human degradation with hope. Hope I'm going to get to Canada. Hope I'm going to get down the block. We had hope on our side, and that was important. It is important because hope is the construct that gives people the ability to envision a different day. Take hope from a people, and you in fact have totally dehumanized them, despiritualized them. Helplessness, homelessness. Think about that. Homelessness, it amazes me. Black folk have always knew, when we made these great experiments, I see everything experiments, we said South was rough, we're going to head up north. We took them river roads up north, went to Detroit and went to Chicago, went to New York, and we established places. And then we would send for our folk to come join us. But if things got bad, we knew we could go back down the road. So when things got rough, we would take your children and send them back home to Big Mama. You take your babies and send them to your uncle. And there would always be a home to go to. If things were good, just the reverse. If things were good up north, you would send your children up north. And your brother or your cousin would raise those children as their children, because we always establish home. We have black people today saying that their strategy is to unionize their homeless group. Other than the fact that we knew all the time, go back home to mama's kitchen table and get it right. That's all you had to do. Things got bad in Harlem, knock somebody in the head, hit the number, whatever, get some money, and go back home. And then when you got it together, you'd come back and try it again. We do it all the time. But that metaphor, that icon of mama's kitchen table is important for us. It helps us with clarity. When we have confusion about our values, about our culture, we need to go back home to mama's kitchen table. Mama's kitchen table, in terms of philosophy and intellect, is the Nile Valley. That's mama's kitchen table. And so when we get confused, go back home to mama's kitchen table. And when you go back home, then you begin to rebuild and understand that there's a value system that allows us to re-spiritualize ourselves. See, this issue about education is not just making us better workers. It's not even making us eligible to go on to college. Education is a process, a systematic process of reproducing and refining the best of ourselves. I should see in my great-grandson the best example of my great-grandfather. If I can't see that, I've done something wrong. And as we went through these processes of integration and process of acculturation, and we look at our own children, we wonder, who is this child? Where'd they come from? And we start have this quiet dialogue in the house about that. That's from your family. And that's from your family. The fact of the matter is that's your people, right? The fact of the matter is that what we're seeing is an indicator that the process has been violated. The process has been violated. When we moved to the suburbs, we did all this stuff under the good life. And we start seeing all these mental illness happening. We see our children doing strange things. It's because there was no salt in the Petri dish. The Petri dish was nice now, split level, 4 or 5 bedrooms, BMW out front. I mean, it was a nice Petri dish. But there was no salt in the Petri dish. And consequently, our children end up being strange caricatures of what is to be an African man or an African woman. So we have to understand this notion of the despiritualization is the critical piece. And these institutions, schools, homes, churches, institutions are places where you reinforce the values that you define as essential to your humanity. And I want to argue with you that the essential value is the spirit. It's the spirit. And I don't want you to run and go to church now, because even though I think it's good to go to church. A lot of these go to church more often, but here and don't hear. But the spirit is not, the spirit, again, my quest here is truth and intellectual clarity. The spirit is what makes us real, not our bodies. The spirit is what makes us real. Spirit has to be defined because of our training. We hear spirit, we immediately go to spirituality, and from there to religion. And religion takes us to 11 o'clock on one day of the week. You see, but don't do that with me. Understand that spirit is not spirituality, not the same as spirituality, nor is it equal to synonymous with religion. Spirit is the energy, the force, the power that is both the inner essence and the outer envelope of human existence. The spirit has no boundaries. It is the inner essence. It is what makes me alive. But it is also the very thing, the energy, the power, the force that makes this universe, everything that is knowable as well as unknowable, connected. That's what the spirit is. The spirit is important because the spirit serves to ignite us. We can't be alive. Every single African philosophy, every single African belief system starts with the spirit. You don't see Africans talking about, can we intellectually debate the existence of God? That don't exist. We don't go there. That doesn't exist. There's some things that I can't be without it being around, and the spirit is that issue. The spirit ignites and enlivens us. It is the spirit that causes us to have a simultaneous connection between our metaphysical state and the ethereal extensions of the world. That's a highbrow way of saying that when your grandmama started to rub her elbow and say, I don't know, I've been thinking about Hattie Mae. I better go call her. And when she called back